Welcome to Out of My Mouth, the program where raw thoughts meet unfiltered conversations.
Join us as we dive into the depths of human experience, where we share stories, perspectives, and insights that just might challenge the status quo.
Get ready to laugh, cry, and ponder the world around you like never before. This is Out of My Mouth.
The views and opinions of our guest and hosts do not necessarily reflect those of New Thought Media Network, or any organization we may be affiliated with. Here at New Thought Media Network, we welcome freedom of speech and courageous conversations. There are many topics that can be difficult to navigate. Challenging the status quo and engaging in lively debate is important to expanding our understanding of one another, and life in general. Creating a peaceful world doesn't happen because no one disagrees, it happens from a willingness to understanding one another. In our programming, we strive to expand consciousness and assist people in creating remarkable lives. Your comments are welcome at info@ntmedia.org.
Good afternoon and welcome to Out of My Mouth. I'm Barbara Jean.
And I'm Marg. Welcome.
And Marg is going to give us a land acknowledgement, and then I'll introduce our wonderful guest for today. Go ahead, Marg.
That's great, Barbara. Thank you. Let's just take a moment and remember where we're planting our feet. In the spirit of reconciliation and peace, we are grateful for the opportunity to meet on these sacred lands. We thank the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. We recognize our oneness. We realize our history. We choose to create a new reality. We are one. Miigwech.
Miigwech. Well, thank you, Marg. Our guest today, Reverend Kathy Mastroianni, is the Executive Director for the Science of Mind Library and Archives, which is now housed at Unity Village. And she is very experienced in what she's doing. She has over 20 years experience in nonprofit management, including 10 years as the Chief Executive Officer and the main communication manager, grant writer, fundraiser, and volunteer manager for PeaceWorks, Inc., a nonprofit organization dedicated to healing relationships, violence, and providing sanctuary for family members and pets. Reverend Kathy was formerly chair of the Resource Development Committee and vice president of the board of directors for the Boys and Girls Club of South Park, Colorado for 6 years. She founded Mile High Church in 2006 and immediately fell in love with this peaceful and life-transforming teaching, became a practitioner in 2011 and a minister March 22nd, 2022. She brings her consciousness along with deep skills as a nonprofit leader to the archives. She lives in Blue Springs, Missouri, with her soon-to-be husband, JT, and their critter family, cats and dogs. We love that. And I am so delighted. Welcome, Reverend Kathy.
Hey,
so glad you're here.
Thank you.
I'm not sure what happened to your video.
Me too. How fun.
Yeah. Your video's a little pixelated. I'm not sure why.
It's coming in a little clearer now, but
yeah. So Kathy, tell us, how did you get into this, working with the archives? Like all of this material from all these past years, and what got you in there?
God did, of course, and Dr. Ernest Holmes. I said to Spirit, I was in between jobs, I was unemployed, and I was like, gosh, what's next in my world? And I was a practitioner, and I said, I want to become a minister. And then within 24 hours, I got a phone call saying, would you like to interview to be director of the Science of Mind Archives? I'm like, I thought I said minister, God. Why are you, it's just like, well, whatever. I'll just take a step towards that. That sounds interesting. And there's a couple of things that, all of a sudden, I applied for ministerial school. I'm praying with the president of Holmes Institute, Dr. Bob Dean. I got a discount on school. I was in the Mecca, the universe of all the wisdom of science and mind surrounding me. I'm like, that was a good prayer.
It worked in a roundabout way.
It worked. And then I tried to be a minister in a pulpit, and I lasted like a year and a half. And while I was full time at the archives, and I was just like, I'm supposed to be a minister in the archives. And so it's just been just this God blessing that I could never have imagined. It's a joy.
And you're perfect for the job. Like, it just fits you so well. Now, you have a very diverse background, but working in nonprofits, but a lot of work also with, women who obviously are leaving difficult situations. Do you want to talk about that at all? Like what that's meant for you, or how that still involves you? Because I know you're big on the peace movement.
You bet. Definitely into peace. And I actually helped to name PeaceWorks. It was a Park County Crisis Center. And every time we'd answer the phone, we'd say crisis center, crisis. I'm like, no, that's not what we want. We want peace.
Words have power.
Yeah. So we were able to answer peace shelter, and it just changed the whole energy of it.
Yeah.
And well, it was such a blessing, those 10 years there. And then afterwards, when I actually did get that pulpit at Foothill Center, I said, I want to keep grounded. So I started an empowerment group for women at the same shelter I worked at before. And so for 5 years, we did either in person or with COVID, a virtual empowerment group. And it was, I can't even tell you just the miracles. So it was using this teaching to express miracles in people's lives.
Yeah.
And this one woman who came back, she shared that it was her very first night at the shelter. She was scared to death. And the group was that night. She came, she goes, I remember seeing you and hearing that group, and it just changed my life right there. And her whole life just transformed. And she was just so grateful for the group, for the shelter. And again, just this is what the teaching Science of Mind is about. It's transforming lives and getting away from violence to peace. It's just helping people to reveal the truth of their divinity, of their light in the world. And so to me, working at the archives and as a minister through Centers for Spiritual Living, is like, wow, let's transform the world. I really appreciate the shelter, but let's go higher. Let's go deeper. Peace on earth. We need this teaching to get out to the world. And the archives is such a resource center, our online website. I just presented to CSL Kenya the other, like a week ago. And so it's like, truly, because we're so virtual, we can bring little known works of Ernest Holmes, very reasonably priced or free, out to the world. And so to me, this is it. Let's get it out to the world.
Absolutely. I love that. Yeah, peace.
You're talking about peace, and I was thinking earlier today, and I am so not political. So I can't go down an educated road of politics. However, it came to me today that it's September 11th.
Right.
And I haven't, well, I don't listen to the news, but I haven't seen anything. And it bothered me how many years 9/11 was advertised. And so promoting what happened, and I think about all the other countries where we don't know what's going on. And because it was the States, it was advertised 9/11, 9/11, 9/11. And here there's this bug that's flying around me. You're talking about peace, and it's just interesting where my mind went today. So yeah.
I love that. I love that, Mark, because what's interesting now that you mentioned 9/11, because I didn't think about it at all. I sure did the day it happened, but the idea of, one of the things that we teach in New Thought is that we need to have a new thought. But what we do is we pull all that old crap forward and we keep reliving it and we call it memorializing or whatever. But that's not what we're doing. We're actually diving right into the, oh, this is so terrible, rather than going into the what has happened since. Where are we now? What what good is in the world? And when I look at, when I look at New Thought, whether it's Science of Mind, CSL, or Unity with the Fillmores, or UFBL with Johnny Coleman, however these organizations came to be, all of us teach one thing, and that's oneness. That's the foundation of New Thought. There's only one thing going on. And then we practice separation. You go over there and you go over there and you go over there, and we'll just stay our separate places. And what I'm loving right now is CSL and Science Mind Archives. Well, the Science Mind Archives, not CSL, but Science Mind Archives is now housed at Unity Village. Like that to me is a coming together. It's a baby step towards something bigger, maybe.
You bet.
Could it be coming together and still have, I don't know if identity is the word because I like to see, we have a commonality. And so I think having an individual beliefs or whatever and being together. So it's not we're all this or that.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Well, it does. And what I like about that is that, see, the thing is, right now we're in competition and we know that doesn't work, but that's what we're doing. But if we moved into collaboration, all of a sudden, all of these groups, like number one, if you could imagine all of these groups on Unity Village grounds, because it's spectacular, it's huge, it's built for this. It really is built for this. And if everybody was there and everybody had their archives and everybody had their offices, and then we would do joint things together, we would all flourish.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, one of that little bridge, you walk across the ponds and there's the fountain. I love it.
Okay, so Kathy, we're monopolizing here. You come in.
No, that's the bridge of faith. And so how wonderful is that? But I can tie pretty much everything you just said together, because it was 9/11 where all of a sudden, that was in my life, I discovered peace. Because here I lived on the side of a mountain in Bailey, Colorado. And, because of the ads and the everything, it just was so frightening. I remember curling up in a little ball in the hallway of my home, not feeling safe. It felt like outside of me was everything. Then all of a sudden, a little voice said, go within. That's where peace lies. And I discovered peace. And that day, it was 9/11, that I started praying for peace and as peace. And then even as I walked on the campus today, because they're getting ready to celebrate their Unity World Day of Prayer here. And the flags were at half staff. And I'm like, what is that? What is that? What happened? What happened? And I said, 9/11. And it was just like everything came together. It was like this cycle of life, coming together from that day to where I am now, and just revealing more and more peace on the planet. It was it's just very powerful. And then what Barbara's talking about, so there were conversations with CSL and Unity a number of years back, and for whatever reason, it didn't work out of like them coming here. But it was almost at that same time, I just started at the archives and I came to visit Unity Village. And they just rolled out the red carpet. Their archivist, Mark Shearer at the time, gave us 3 days, said, whatever you need to know, how can we help your archive? We want to support you. Nice. And we started New Thought Archives Consortium. And we've been doing it for 7 years. And so every month, so we have Divine Science, INTA Archives, Founders Archives, Science of Mind Archives, and more. We would meet. It's like, how can we support each other? And we actually presented at the Parliament of the World's Religions last year on the women of New Thought. We had this incredible panel with UFBL has joined us, and it was just a powerful presentation about the powerful women of New Thought. And then we're like, hey, let's do that again. So we did it at the INTA Congress here just this year.
Nice.
And talk about history. I mean, history can sound boring. What's history? I was there at their meeting when they voted to move the INTA Congress or INTA archives to Unity Village. So we've started something here. So the Unity Village Archives is here. Science of Mind Archives, moved here June 3rd. So just over 3 months ago. And now INTA is going to bring their archives here at the beginning of the year. And so what you're talking about, Barbara, this utopia, of coming together and oneness, but uniqueness. Oneness isn't sameness.
No.
Because I've had people come in and they say, you're the CSL archives. And they're like, no, someone else. It's a science of mind, which is greater than Centers for Spiritual Living.
Exactly.
It includes it, but it's greater than that. And it's just, people come in and they say, wow, what is this? And I said, wow, it's New Thought. Just like there's Unity Archives, the teaching of the Fillmores, we have the teaching of Dr. Ernest Holmes, and it's all about oneness. And it's something else new to learn. And because if you hear something just a little different, I mean, I love yoga and Paramahansa Yogananda, I love the studies of Hinduism and yoga and Bhakti yoga, and Ernest Holmes studied yoga.
All of it.
Yeah, Sri Aurobindo.
Yeah.
And all the world's religions. And so it's all the golden thread of truth that roll through all of them. I think all of us who like New Thought are naturally curious, right? Mm-hmm. Don't we want to study and learn and deepen and go deeper?
Yeah.
So that's what being all here on this campus is at Unity Village. It's truly a village of unity. It's the great potential of what can be and how New Thought can really change the world.
And it could, that idea of creating a more peaceful world, I think is how we do. That's how we do it, is coming together and starting to see each other's uniqueness as gifts rather than judging someone because they're a little different than us. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, well, let me, that's one of the things that's happened is people will judge each other. Going, oh, can you believe what that person wore or how they speak, or, oh, listen to that, that's not right. Like, there's so much judgment and criticism. And I think a lot of that, or probably all of it, comes from our own disconnect from our own self. Usually when I'm annoyed with somebody's behavior, because in me, maybe I tried that once and my mom told me how bad and wrong it was. And that's implanted. And now anytime somebody does it, oh, they're evil, they're bad. But it's all just made up. So what if we made up great stuff? And I watched Eat, Pray, Love last night. I've seen it before, but I thought, I haven't seen it for a long time. And so I'm looking at the section where she's meeting with Ketut, the spiritual healer guru guy. And he says to her, okay, you do your India meditation in the morning, serious Indian meditation. Mm-hmm. And then before you go to bed at night, you do another meditation. You sit and you smile. Mm-hmm. And you don't do anything, silence and smile. But he says, you don't just smile with your face, you smile with your mind. You smile with your liver. You smile. And I thought, I love that. If our energy was focused on, wow, isn't this sweet? Isn't this fun? Isn't this beautiful? Mm-hmm. If we began to look at the world through the lens of possibility rather than, ooh, yuck, I think we could really see a transformation fairly quickly. And that's what excites me. And I think us coming together is exactly what's needed to really push that forward. Because the people who are successful in our teaching are independents. The Neil Donald Walsh, the Louise Hay, the Deepak Chopras, all of these people are teaching the very same thing we teach.
Right.
And they're making millions of dollars doing it. But our centers are struggling. Why?
That's such a good question. And I think that is that kind of reinventing ourselves or being curious but letting spirit speak, because there is the way that things have been done before. But let's use visioning. Let's use our tools. Let's use spiritual mind treatment. And let's say, Spirit, reveal thyself, reveal the highest and best, for the unfolding, for this teaching. How is it to be creative? I mean, literally, I love the word creative, to create, it's just so out of nothingness, comes something glorious. And that's why I'm so grateful to Reverend Mark Fuss of Unity Village, because when we were doing these conversations, with Unity and the Science Mind Archives Board, and the board's like, well, maybe we don't want to, maybe we do. I mean, we always prayed for the highest and the best. He said, what is the highest and the best, for both Unity and for the Science and Mind Archives? What's the highest and the best? I think it's for our organizations as a whole. And the Fillmores, I'm so impressed. Now here I'm sitting in Charles R. Fillmore's old office. And he was a grandson of the Fillmores. I talk to Charles every day. And when we first saw it, we were here the first week in January. It was like we flew out January 2nd, and then January 3rd we were in our heads talking about lacing and this. And I was so proud of my board president. He says, you know what? And because I said to JT, who was with me, I just want to sit there and meditate. And sure enough, Jim comes out and says, I just want to go sit there and meditate. And so it was nice. And so we asked Mark Fuss. He drove us here. He left. And then Jim, JT, and we were just sitting there. And I felt us communing with the Fillmores. I felt Charles and Myrtle and Cora and I just felt Ernest Holmes show up. I just felt it was just such a powerful experience to be here in this space.
Yeah.
And and then we sat at the door and we started greeting people. Jim's idea, our board president. It's our grand opening. Who are we greeting now? And we saw the Fillmores. We saw leadership from all the organizations. And we greeted like 100 people through the doors. We visualized being here.
Nice.
And out the window, I see fountains and the tower. And so I had that picture. And I was like, that's my office. That's my office. I mean, to use Science of Mind principle, to use what New Thought principle, and to watch it manifest. It's just, this is what it's all about. It's
exciting. I can't believe you're in you're in Charles Fillmore's office. That just brought tears to my eyes.
Yeah, Charles R. Fillmore, a grandson. But yes, I am. Yeah, over at Unity Archives, they have both Myrtle and Charles, the main Charles.
The older Charles, original one.
Yeah, this has all this like kind of gold trim, and I'm just like, I need to keep that. That's history. And so you have
so that's where you are, like right now?
Right
in
now.
this moment?
Yes.
Right now in this
my
moment.
office.
That is so cool.
Yeah, I love that.
That is so cool.
What I really love about it is, the Fillmores and Holmes, they studied together. And so when you look at the work that they've done and the things that they've created, I think it's really remarkable that we're at this place at this time. And the world really is in quite a flux at the moment. Like there's everything's being undone, and it's making people really uncomfortable. What was, even 5 years ago no longer is. And so there's this big shift that's occurring that is making it difficult for the average person day by day to figure out what is life in my world now, because everything is changing rapidly because of our incredible AI and whatever else we got going on. But we've come so far with our communications abilities and stuff. The world is now so small, and how do we begin to move forward in a way that really is going to create the type of transformation that we want? And are we willing to go through the growth spurt of that? Because it will be painful, which is part of what we're experiencing right now, but it'll be good.
And I think of spirit groups.
Yes, the spirit
and
groups.
and how things have changed since we started spirit groups. And in the group that I co-facilitate, we have participants from all across Canada and the States, and people are eager to share and participate and do an opening affirmation and a closing and bring spiritual music and have wonderful discussions. So there's such a positive shift in people wanting to learn and grow spiritually. And I like to highlight that, not to advertise spirit groups so much as to say this is a positive thing that's happening with our technology.
Oh, and they're wonderful. Like I was
I
part
love
of your group for 2 sessions, and uh, if I had the time, I'd be part of it again. Like I really, really loved that the interaction. What would usually there was about 10 or 12 of us, and we would, everybody did something. Everybody participated in some way. No one was in that meeting that didn't do something during the 10-week cycle. Yeah, they're incredible. Sharing wisdom,
Wow.
that's the one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and the depth that people uh, uh, opened themselves up to. It was, yeah, yeah.
And
So I
that
think that's the way to go too.
I agree.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I agree. I know
absolutely.
that CSL for a while was doing what's called soul circles, but I don't know if anything's happening anymore. Do you know of anything, Kathy, that we're doing
I
like
don't know.
that?
I just know with the I know the magazine has circles too, where people are talking about the different articles in the magazine. And so they
Okay,
are doing some things. I'm not sure though.
yeah. I'm enjoying your
But
lessons that you
it's
wrote.
fun to see the focus ministries. And oh, thank you. Thank you. That was really fun to do. And how I was going to say ironic, but it's God, that it's September and all these things are happening right now. That the
Mhm.
lessons I wrote over a year ago as part of the Global Themes Committee for September, Pieces into Peace, are just now they're popping up and people are using them in all their centers around the world. And it's just like, and for me, the fun part was a deep dive into Ernest Holmes because he
Yeah.
loves peace. The dude's all about, see that guy over there, he's all about peace. And I found some little known articles, or we just published the Ernest Holmes at Asilomar book that you've mentioned too. And just there's a lot of peace in his book. I love his Ernest Holmes at Asilomar because he really, I think it's a deep dive. I bet you could even speak to it even deeper, Barbara, but it's just, it's authentic Ernest Holmes. It's very lightly edited, and it's just spirit flowing through him and his brilliance. And as I like to say, I'm a little bit of a geek. I love the index. And so if you go to the index in the back of the book, you see all the topics he's mentioned, all the names he dropped throughout history. And it just shows how vast Ernest Holmes' wisdom and knowledge was.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I know. Oh, yeah, you got the science mind. Excellent, excellent. Yeah, it's such a great book. One of the things I don't know if you noticed it, Mark, but you probably did, is at the front it's got a daily reading guide for the year, and
Truth be told, it's Wendy's book. I haven't read it.
Okay. It bounces you around through the book, and it's amazing. It's really amazing. Well, we're ready for a little commercial break. So you're watching Out of My Mouth on the New Thought Media Network, and our wonderful guest is Reverend Kathy Mastroianni, who is the Executive Director of the Science of Mind Library and Archives. And we're going to be back in just a minute to talk a little bit more about New Thought and where we hope it's headed. Be right back. Don't go away.
Please help us say thank you to our organizational sponsors, including the Hepperlin Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Center for Spiritual Living on the Lake, Unity Spiritual Center, Kitchener, Om Center for Spiritual Living, La Mesa, Satya Center, Center for Spiritual Living, North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and Center for Spiritual Living, Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. Thank you for making New Thought Media Network a place to be. Please come be you. And remember, like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, positively inspiring.
Welcome back to Out of My Mouth. You know how sometimes stuff comes out of your mouth and you didn't even plan for it? Well, sometimes things come out of our mouth that we go, ooh, should I have said that? Well, this show is all about saying all those things that, need to be said. So we were talking a little bit about Unity Village and, New Thought organizations maybe would do well to come together and work more collaboratively. And like Mark says, it's not to lose our identity, but rather to expand the awareness of who we are and what we do. And depending on, because each one is done a little bit differently, but it's all the same message. So, people can come to CSL, or they can go to Unity, or they can go to UFBL, they can go to Divine Science, they can go wherever, and they're going to get a similar idea. But of course, we're all attracted to different styles of message and things like that. So we're going to go to where we feel is the best fit.
And I think, as Kathy was saying earlier, I think this is what you were implying, that you can hear the same message said in a different way and get something different out of it, right? The message is the same, but the words are a little bit different, and it's like, oh, maybe the penny drops. And you had a PowerPoint you said you had for us.
Yeah, well, let's just stay on this for just at least a minute or so, because I just started reading Nona Brooks, How Powerful is the Light. And just so, Nona is one of the founders of Divine Science. Melinda Kramer, kind of really started it in California, but Nona Brooks had like the same kind of idea in Pueblo, Colorado. And so I was reading her book and I was like, this is Science of Mind. It's a new thought. And I'm so excited to learn more about the Fillmores. People love the Fillmores.
You've got to read Myrtle Fillmore's letters.
Oh, that's what I've heard. Nice.
Oh, it's the best. I love Myrtle. I love Myrtle. I love Myrtle. I'll tell you, her letters, because she was a real no BS kind of person. So people would write and say, here's what my problem is. And she'd be like slapping them down going, Here's the reality, right? She's real clear. She was really clear. And I healed my back using her prayer that she
Wow.
used to heal herself of tuberculosis. So I need to pull that back up on my computer and, heal all this other stuff that's going on.
But, and Johnny Coleman too has her story, of how, she got diagnosed with cancer and I think it was cancer, and then it was a daily word came and she found it and it just changed her life. And she found unity and started studying unity. And it's so powerful. I mean, it's such a healing ministry. It's this philosophy there are no limits. We give ourselves limits.
I think we've played it down.
You bet.
I think we've played it down. Yeah, we've bought into the idea that medicine is the answer, and that prayer, or what we call spiritual mind treatment, is just some airy-fairy thing. But I'm going to tell you right now, spiritual mind treatment works, not some of the time, but all of the time. It just doesn't work the way we expect it to sometimes. But I remember doing treatment with a gentleman who'd had a serious heart attack. And I went and saw him in the ICU. And I said, there's this thing that I do. Could I do it with you? And he went, yeah, absolutely. And I said, what do you want out of this experience? What do you want? And how would you feel emotionally if you had it? And so he said, well, I want to be healthy and happy and blah, blah, whatever he said. So I did treatment with him. That was on a Thursday. While he was at the Rocky View Hospital, they did the stress test, EKG or whatever it's called, ECG, I guess. Anyway, they did all those tests and it proved that he had a very severe heart attack. On the Tuesday night, or Wednesday night, I guess, the angiogram machine finally was repaired so he could go to another hospital and get an angiogram. Because his condition was so severe, he was bumped to the front of the list. Wow. And when he went and had his angiogram that next morning, so now it's been 7 days since I treated him, he went in and the cardiologist said, why are you here? And he said, oh, they've told me I'm really, really sick. And he goes, you don't have the heart of a 46-year-old man. You have the heart of a 16-year-old boy.
Oh my God. Wow.
Perfect. And I don't know why you're here. So they send him back to Rocky View. The cardiologist there going, no, something's wrong. He goes, forget it, I'm leaving. So he left and he hired me to teach him how to do meditation and stuff like that. And that was right before I started my ministry. So it's like there's something about treatment that if we will sort of suspend all of the doubts or the weirdness we have maybe around some religions, because I think religion has really given spirituality a bad name. I don't know. There's something about religion I'm not comfortable with. But it's like somehow, like I don't like using the word prayer because then people get this notion, oh, it's that Christian weird stuff. But it's not. Spiritual mind treatment is very, very different than a prayer where you're sitting back and going, please God, help me because I'm, broken and flawed or whatever. We don't do that in treatment. Treatment is about knowing our wholeness and returning to that. And so it's fascinating the changes that happen as a result of, getting people. And I worked with somebody who had AIDS, who was dying, down to like 80 pounds, healed completely within 4 months. Just, weird stuff. And you look at that and you go, well, how did that happen? But what's interesting is as I'm looking around the New Thought movement, I'm seeing less and less focus on prayer and treatment than I've ever seen in the past. And I think that's what needs to change. We need to talk about the fact that we actually can heal our bodies. Our mind builds our body. And, if we remember that, I think we'd be further ahead. I don't know.
I also think, though, when we speak about healing, it has to be, okay, the story of somebody who, like the gentleman with the heart, and he was cured. And what about when the physical body is not healed? I think there needs to be, when we're talking about this kind of stuff, there needs to be, and it could be a healing mentally. Somebody is still going to die, and this is how they made their exit, with a different frame of
Mindset.
mind. Yeah.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah.
Because otherwise there can be shame, blame, whatever, if you're not healed physically, right?
Yeah. And thank you for bringing up that point, because that's something I've heard so much in this teaching is, oh, I'm to blame for having cancer. No, you're not. No, you're not. You're part of one thing, and cancer exists in that one thing. So it can happen to anybody. How you deal with it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, my back, I healed it completely for the pain. I had no pain for 2 years. And then I fell June 3rd. Interesting, the day Science Mind Archives moves. I go to a store to look at patio furniture, and I sit in a chair that was not put together properly, and it broke, and I hit the floor, and my back's been bad ever since. And then, I broke my shoulder. So I said to my prayer Fab Five yesterday, it was like, okay, so could we get some understanding as to why pneumonia, back, shoulder, like what's going on here? And I had this incredible epiphany yesterday, because this is what treatment does. It doesn't necessarily make the pain go away, doesn't necessarily, take away the cancer. What it does is it shifts the mindset. And when you shift the mindset, then everything is different, even if. So I have pain in my body, but probably notice I'm smiling all the time and I'm happy. I wasn't when the day I fell. I'll give you, I cried, it hurt. But the thing is that what I realized is I don't ask for support. I don't let people help me. I do everything myself. Huh. How's that working for you? And it isn't. And what's been fascinating is every time I've gotten sick, all of these people have showed up to give me support. So I had a woman come to my house on Monday. She normally does my cleaning once a week, right? So I pay her to do that. But she said, I want to come and help you with some things you can't do. Now, she wanted to volunteer. So I sent her an e-transfer, and she goes, no, I was volunteering. And I was like, okay, I need to learn how to ask for help and be willing to receive it. And it only required me not being able to stand and not being able to use one arm that I finally got that message. And of course, the prayer treatments that my Fab Five are doing, because that was my treatment request. What do I need to know? What do I need to do different to restore my health? Because we're living busy, frantic, crazy lives sometimes, and we're not necessarily paying attention to those little messages that are coming. So I went to bed last night and I did my smile meditation before I went to sleep. It's kind of going, this feels really weird. Anyway, but thank you for that point, because the healing isn't what we think it's going to be. It's not the absence of death. It's not the absence of disease. It is a shift in perception that allows us to live in a place of harmony.
And I think for somebody that shuts down, when I hear I healed myself and blah, 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 I would be more receptive to hearing what you just said in the latter part of this conversation. And I see Kathy wants to chime in, so I'd like to hear what you have to say, Kathy.
Yeah, please, Kathy.
Oh, no, this is wonderful. And it's so true. Again, it's a shift in perspective. But yeah, healing can come in different forms, and we just, we have our human self, how we think it could look. But gosh, the miraculous, and sometimes it is leaving the body temple, into that place of pure spirit. That's healing, for
It
sure.
is a healing.
Yeah.
It's our
absolutely.
fear of death that has named it bad. rather
Right.
than it simply being a transition.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
To the next level of consciousness. Yeah. And again, I'm just so blessed to kind of hang out here with Ernest Holmes, you know, and the Fillmores, you know, and just, I mean, how I was trained when I first started, because I did run a domestic violent children, then God gave me an archives. I sat in each space for 5 minutes every morning and every afternoon and said, Spirit, what do I need to know? You know, it's just really communing with that invisible presence. I had no one. I had someone who would Zoom in with me every now and then. And I was just open. I said, gosh, Spirit, you know, and Dr. Holmes, you know, really guide me. And so that's what I've been doing here at our new space. And so I have this thing, like once a week, I do staff meetings because I'm manifesting my executive assistant and our new archivist. And so I set our chairs around with Ernest Holmes' podium every week and on our Facebook page. I posted, I said, and we have a staff meeting and just say, gosh, you know, what is ours to do this week? Why are we here? And just magic happens. Different people will walk in the door and to say, wow, what is this? Oh, I can't believe, and just the perfect people have come in. And so it's just been really magical. And I would, if this is an okay moment, I'd like to show this PowerPoint. And I just
yeah, Deja, can you get it so that Kathy can share?
You have no slides. Let me get you a slide if I can. Share screen. Let's see if you'll let me.
See if it'll let you share.
Let me share.
And I want to talk about your dogs and cats and animals too.
Oh, absolutely. They're magical. All righty. And so I'm not going to do the full. Do you see it? Or let's see if
there it is.
There you go. All righty. So this is our new home at Unity Village. And it really is nothing less than a miracle that brought us here. It was just truly a miracle. We're grateful. We have an amazing board of directors. Again, Reverend Chris Plim is sitting outside resting she's checking out the new place. Just all of them just came together in spiritual consciousness to make this miracle come true. And I love this picture because this is us signing the on Zoom, signing the lease. Our president, Jim Van Cleve, who I mentioned, and Julia Matis and JT and myself. So we're just signing this lease.
That's fabulous.
And we had to pack up. We had to pack up the whole archives that was in Golden, Colorado. And so we were doing what we called tadas. And so my beloved JT, who I am marrying on International Day of Peace, just 10 days from now, he was the project lead. And he organized the entire library, which is phenomenal, 7,000 books, to put them in order. And then we would empty shelves. And we bought a lot of boxes, over 900 boxes and a lot of tape. And then we had special things crated, which was amazing too, to make sure our precious, fragile artifacts, and CSL Home Office has given them to us on permanent loan. And so we wanted to make sure they were safe to go from Golden to Unity Village, Missouri. And then we had just volunteers, and you might recognize some folks here, our friends from CSL Boulder Valley. And where's our friends? And let's see, I want to get to our friend, Reverend Robert, Dr. Robert Brzezinski, him and his beloved Laura over here. And we had over 30 volunteers, 263 hours, and just so over thousands of hours that have helped us with this journey. And this is Melinda and JT, as we're our admin support. She's volunteered before I got here for 12 years. And so it's just that bittersweet, taking our names off the door, saying goodbye. And this is it. So JT, oh my God, thank you. And so this is 900 boxes and chairs and tables ready for the next day when our friends at Johnson Moving came to load up at the truck. And it was quite the move. And it was, Angel. So this beautiful angel here, she actually helped publish Science of Mind magazine. She was for 3 years, and she goes, I know that magazine. And then it's them and their crew. They just took such special care, and to see everything.
Wow.
So again, this is one of those bittersweet moments where I actually, here it's me and JT taking the sign down off the building, and it was just surreal. And then all of a sudden, it's empty. It's just empty. And then we load up Ernest in my car, and we go on a most excellent adventure across the country. And,
I love that.
So this is, meanwhile, Unity is fun. They're available on our website. And so Unity is cleaning up the space. Look they put fresh carpet, they painted the walls, and they made it absolutely lovely. And so now it's all fresh and clean. And this is where we're at now. And then here it is, June 3rd. They're unloading the truck, and just 900 boxes, 45,000 pounds. And there was another statistic in there somewhere. It was amazing. So we had board members come and help that day too. It was more volunteers flew in. So now the new Reverend Dana Vogt, she flew in from California to help unload. Kathy Nash Peterson was waiting for us. And just more volunteers drove across and spent an entire week helping us unload and put things together. Just such an exciting thing.
Well, it is an exciting.
And this is our friends at Unity. Yeah, Unity Archives made an entire display for us to welcome us here, which is so wonderful. And and there you go. There's your friend. I thought she was here. Cheryl's here. So these are some of the people who have visited us.
Oh yeah.
Here. I know, right?
Cheryl, Ernest,
so we have her with me and Ernest and Dr. Sunny. I know.
Oh, and there's Sheila McKeithen.
So we had INTA, we had, Dr. Sheila, and this is us on that panel presenting about New Thought Women.
Nice.
It's just been quite a
it's beautiful.
And then we did. My beloved and I sold our house of 30 years in the mountains and moved to Unity Village too. So,
wow.
And we're still raising money for the move. We have a goal of 150,000. We're at actually now about 122,000 right now, which is exciting. And people can go to our website if that.
Yeah.
And if you like those cutouts, you can actually.
You can order a cutout.
You can have Ernest with you. You can. We're doing Where in the World is Ernest? Where is Ernest?
I love that.
We're having our grand
like
opening
Flat Stanley.
here at Unity Village.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. It's fun.
Yeah.
He's been all over. And let's see, we have Ernest has been in Lake Chapala, Mexico. There's Reverend Robert. Dr. Robert again has him. And then there's Dr. Marilyn Leo, took him to Norway, and Dr. Deborah Gordon has him. And Ernest has been all around the world. And so again, you can go to our website, and there's our address. Yep, and there we are. But I wanted to go, there's our grand opening is April 24th through 26th. And we just really invite, if anyone wants to come play with us, it's all on our website. It's the best place to check. So thank you for that gorgeous pink background. But it's all about prayer. It's spiritual mind treatment. We started by putting a treatment out to the field. We started by doing visioning. We've continued every week as a group. We did treatment, and so it's just answered prayer. And people say it's nothing less than a miracle of what we've accomplished here. So we're just grateful for prayer.
It's actually the natural outpicturing of the law.
Thank
when we
you.
get this out of the way and lead from here.
Yes, and where I can look out my window and see the fountains and the tower that I had visualized all that time. And the possibilities of working with Unity, the possibilities. So INTA Archives is coming here soon, if we didn't mention that. So it's going to be a New Thought Archive Mecca here where people can come and commune with our history. It's so magical and so exciting.
It is exciting. And
have the vision of words.
Yeah.
Words are coming at you.
Yes.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And what you've accomplished in just this short period through the summer.
Mhm.
I was, at the beginning there, I was going, okay, every person who comes in, they can pay $1 to shelve a book, one book.
I love that.
They'd
Yes.
like to shelve 5 books, they can give us $5. That was my thought of fundraising.
I loved your thought too, absolutely. Well,
Well, we're coming up to the end of our time because it does go by so darn quickly. Kathy, what is one thing you'd like to leave people with when it comes to the New Thought movement? One idea.
I just think that we just go within to ourselves, and when we can commune with that divine presence that's in all of us, that is all light and love and peace, that we have this incredible opportunity to share it with the world. Every smile that we share with someone else, every resource, every time we tell someone about the archives and our website, every time we tell someone about your show or New Thought Media Network, just, oh my gosh, we're expanding their consciousness and their ability to live their best life ever. And what a gift that is. And each one of us has that power to do that. And so for us to share,
I love it. I love it. Mark, what about you? What's your final thought for today?
Powerful message to keep on smiling. I certainly know it makes a difference just in a walk and smiling at somebody that may not even be having a great day, and the smile comes back. And maybe I have to open this book that my partner put beside me before the show today.
Just go to the front there where it says, read for these days, and it just gives you
Yeah.
numbers and paragraphs. Just do it that way. It's really
Or
Okay.
the other fun thing is you go to the
can
back
change
and there's these healing treatments from Dr. Holmes, and those are simple and sweet, and they're just a great way to introduce and commune.
Yeah, and change our
Perfect.
thinking, change our mind. And you can come to my class tonight and
Nice.
join us at 7. Anyway, this has been great. I think for me, even when we were having this conversation with the Fab Five yesterday, I think for me the big thing is, I think we've gotten away from the idea that this teaching changes lives. And I think that's probably a better way of talking than saying healing, because healing gets misinterpreted, as you pointed out as well, Mark. So I think, if we talk about the fact that if you change your thinking and begin to look at life from a new vantage point, life begins to look differently. And I think that comes back
Absolutely.
to the law of attraction, right? That whoever you are is what you will attract. And that just means, if you're a cranky, miserable person, probably you'll be surrounded by that type of people. And if you're happy-go-lucky and whatever, then probably you'll be surrounded by those type of people who are more joyful. So I think, just changing the message, change your thinking, change your life. It'll be grand. It'll be fabulous. And on that note, I want to give a great big thank you to Kathy. I know you've had a really busy time. Congratulations on your upcoming wedding, and congratulations on this wonderful new place for the archives. You're definitely blazing a new road for New Thought, and you're kind of at the forefront of that, and I like that a lot. So. Yeah. And thank you, Mark. You're wonderful as always. And Cheryl, poor Cheryl, she's off in Portugal. Darn.
I know.
Oh, well, we're here. We're here to have the fun, and she's there, having a blast, I'm sure.
Please stay on. And please stay on for a few minutes if you can.
We'll continue chatting. This is the end of our show. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a most wonderful, brilliant day. Thank you, Kathy. Thank you, Mark. And thank you, Deja and Maple, for producing this thing and making it so great, and the New Thought Media Network. be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And by the way, send a donation to Science Mind Archives and send a donation to the New Thought Media Network. It's a good idea. Peace be with you. Bye for now.